bring your tea and your popcorn, baby, because we about to get into it. Karen has entered the chat. Monique checks into Stacey, and we try to see if Stacey is lying. Not to mention the fact Zia Wynn is out the pen and basically incriminating herself right here on the reunion of Real Housewives of Potomac, baby. And they left us with that little cliffhanger reunion before where Monique was confronting Stacey about going back and telling Chris, her ex-husband, information about her. And I believe it was something about filming where it was a whole situation. And Stacey, of course, you know what she do? Deny. So what was your take on what was happening? Let us know what happened.
Listen, all I know is that Monique came with the receipts, honey. Okay? Monique pulled her phone out, showed it to Andy. Now, the thing is, we couldn't necessarily see exactly what was on the phone because, as we all know, Monique's husband sent her a cease and desist right before the show, basically. So she was limited in what it was that she could even just discuss, especially pertaining to her and her kids and her husband. So all we know is that it was something on that phone that Monique showed to Andy, and it had the ladies and Andy face dropped, okay? And what we do know is that Stacey was sitting over there looking like a deer in headlights, like she was confused and didn't know what was going on. Of course, like you said, she sat up there and she denied, okay? What I would like to say she did was lie. Because what she knew exactly what she was doing, okay?
Exactly. There's no way she gonna sit up here on national TV and actually tell the truth, okay? That she was going back and saying something to her ex-husband that could jeopardize her and her kids. You know, like, that's crazy. In their custody battle or whatever they got going on. So Stacey done got caught in I don't know how many lies this season. Okay, child. Stacey was like, well, I haven't even talked to him all season or something. And Monique was like, that's a lie because you told me that at first and then you came back and said, oh, well, yeah, you know, you were showing me a whole text message thread at that point. And she's like, which one is it? Like, because you're a liar.
She is. She's a big liar. And it seems as though Stacey, like I said, she loves to stir the pot. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But it seems like Stacey, again, she don't want to admit nothing that she's doing wrong. Okay? She don't feel like she's the problem when all the while she is.
She is the big problem.
Yes, but you know one thing I noticed about Monique, now I don't know her character up until this reunion, but what I do know is that Monique really did remain calm, cool, and collected the whole time. I mean, it seems like, you know, she is a very calm person. Like I said, she didn't overreact when Stacey was up there lying. She just showed the receipts and left it where it was at.
I will say about Monique, she has gotten to that point because when she was on here 5 years ago, she was basically like a whole nother person, but she was way more aggressive, you know what I'm saying, way more combative, but she associated that with being in a bad marriage before. And she said she was a totally different person then. So now she's trying to have more control over her life, her emotions, all that stuff. Monique tries to be a little bit different now. But yeah, she did. She kept her composure. She remained calm because everybody can see that Stacey is a liar. Okay? I just wish we could have seen what exactly was on that phone. Because I know. The word on the curb is that phone was Monique's child or something. Let us know down below what y'all think was on that phone because it had the women gassed. I know that they definitely mentioned Stacey's name in there, but, you know, Stacey just was denying. You know what I'm saying? I have my own family and my own issues. Why would I want to do anything like that to you? Because you're a liar, girl. Because
she's a big liar.
Yeah, and she played conniving type of games. Okay, you know what? I like Stacey, I really do, but honestly, I kind of could do without her at this point because one thing, baby, I can't stand is a liar.
Yeah. Stacey, she's not my cup of tea, okay? And like I said, and I'm new to the Real Housewives of Potomac. And baby, Stacey has rubbed me in all the wrong ways. So I can do without her too.
Seriously. moving on to the next thing, Karen enters the room, okay? Looking good, looking youthful, and the girls is loving the look. She's seeming good. I think she gave out a couple hugs, and she had to see Andy got into a few things with her. I can't remember the order, child, okay? But I do know that he asked her a few things, and one of the main things is her road to recovery and the fact that he wanted to revisit their interview that they had together, where he specifically asked Karen, was she an alcoholic? And Karen chose to say she wasn't an alcoholic. She was not going to call herself an alcoholic. And this was on their one-on-one. So now at this point, she's done a show, I believe, with Sherry Shepherd. And people are thinking that maybe after all this time, she has actually come to a point where she could take a little more ownership as far as like her DUI actions and, you know, just the whole situation, and own the fact that she's an alcoholic, right? And it was like, again, Karen, of course, again, she still refuses to say she's an alcoholic. She says she's like in some kind of in a lifetime recovery, blah, 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 right? All this mumble jumble. Well, all you gotta say is, I'm alcoholic, and it's that simple. But for Karen, it's like she refuses to use that word regarding herself. What did you think about that? Because to me, I thought the first step to recovery was admitting that you have a problem. And when she talked like that, I feel like you can't even admit that you have a real problem. It's like, you gotta play with words when at the end of the day, you're addicted to alcohol. What do you think?
So what I got from it, to me, it seems like there's still some denial going on with Karen, okay? It seems like she don't want to wholeheartedly admit the fact that she is an alcoholic, no matter how she want to play on words. Alcoholism is what got her locked up, basically, right?
Yeah.
So she's had multiple DUIs, from what I understand, and also from the point of where in previous seasons, people have seen Karen out day drinking, night drinking, midday drinking. Okay, so my thing is this. At the end of the day, yes, the first step to recovery is admitting that you have a problem, that you are an alcoholic, Karen. So my thing, it leads the people to believe, like, okay, are you serious in your recovery? Are you going to go back to alcohol? I mean, what is it that you're doing? Because if you don't realize that this is a disease and that this is something that you're dealing with, you're going to be right back in the same situation again, Karen. It's unfortunate. It's like, because how old is Karen? I mean, she looks like a woman
about 60.
Okay, Karen, you up in age. You shouldn't be going to no jail for no DUI. You too old for that, Karen.
Okay.
You too old.
Yes. Because even after she did her sit down with Andy before, and then she was saying, like, I think he asked her, like, how soon after, like, going, you know, initially to jail, where they, like, locked her up before she got out and, you know, had the time to see about her trial if she was going to have to go and do time. When was her last time having a drink then before going to jail? And then she says something, don't all the way quote me, but she said a couple weeks or so after the accident, she was still drinking. Even though she had just got into this whole car wreck and she had all these pending charges, and she was still in denial, and she's still in denial to a degree. She has owned a lot. I appreciate that part. I feel like she won't own the biggest part. And the biggest part is that the alcoholism is a problem.
It definitely is a problem. It's a problem. It's going to continue to be a problem until she owns it.
Exactly.
It's unfortunate, but that's the truth.
Yep. Bypassing the whole drinking thing with Karen, somehow we get into Wendy. Wendy started going back and forth with Karen. Andy opened up the dialogue, like, what was the issue between Karen and Wendy? And basically, both of them felt betrayed by the other one. We had Wendy, who was saying that she felt betrayed because Karen, during their sit down clip that we had never even seen before, that she brought back up that people were calling her mom a witch. Then Karen said that she felt betrayed because Wendy believed Stacey when Stacey told Wendy that Karen told her that Wendy was self-absorbed and didn't care about nobody but herself. And after Stacey told Wendy that, Wendy and Stacey walked off into the sunset. Like, basically, it was almost like Wendy was saying, like, without saying it, I'm on Stacey's side. I believe Stacey. Other than that, she wouldn't have been walking away with her like that. You know what I mean? It's almost like, this is my friend now because you betrayed me. So they both felt betrayed. They ended up bickering back and forth. Then Karen ended up saying to Wendy, she's just so that you know, I love your mother. She was like, and I particularly loved it when she told you to shut the fuck this thing. And when I say Wendy was like, and then they showed Giselle, and Giselle was like, Karen gave her that look like, stop right here, okay? They couldn't get on the same page. And Andy decided to just put a pin in it for now, right? Because they weren't getting nowhere. So then when they brought it back up, it was because Andy ended up asking Wendy basically like what happened, you know. So Wendy ended up saying everything that happened, you know, like the chain of events. Because even Kiana and her little sidekick, Angel, they were saying they didn't believe that Wendy did not know that this whole situation was going on with her. They feel like she knew the whole time. Wendy has said all of the different details already as far as like what all happened and transpired. And then after she said all the details, then she said it wasn't until the same officer came after they had the break-in, came back in like October or something like that. And she thought he was back to say, hey, we caught who broke into your house. But the cop was basically back to say, nobody broke into your house. You broke into your house, made a false police report, and now you going to jail, child.
You broke into your own house, Wendy. You broke into your own house.
Oh my God. Allegedly. But this is what Wendy said. The cop said. That's exactly what she said. She was basically trying to make it like to the girls like, yeah, you know, I did not know this was going on the whole time because it wasn't until that day that I found out that we were basically under investigation all season. All they was talking about, we got money over money getting dished out here and there. Like, it was just a big thing with them. So I don't believe that she knew the whole time, but it was from that point that Wendy and Karen came back to a full circle when Karen was like, I don't know if Andy asked Karen for some advice to Wendy or whatever, but I know that Karen ended up saying to her, like, I took it out of context before, but this was basically me telling you to shut the F up. You talking too much, Wendy. I didn't want you to do exactly what you just did by giving all these details out. When in reality, I'm telling you, all this stuff they're just going to use against you later because you still have an ongoing case. So what do you think about that? Because she was talking a lot to me.
She was. And that's the thing right there. I definitely get where Karen was coming from. I agree with Karen 100% because as Wendy was sitting there talking, I'm thinking to myself, Wendy, you're incriminating yourself. Just let it be. And I really appreciated the fact that Karen was like, okay, if I were you, I wouldn't even be here. You know what I mean? As serious as this case is, baby, this is the last place you need to be at. So I definitely agree. Exactly. So I definitely agree with Karen with that. The thing I will say about Karen is that I noticed that Karen, she seemed like she could be a mother figure, but she gonna give it to you straight, no chaser, okay? One thing I noticed about Karen is that she owns that stage, okay? Those women have nothing but pure respect for Karen, okay? When Karen come out there, she gathered them in 2.2 seconds, baby, and would shut them down, okay? I said, okay then, Karen. Okay. Yes. So my thing is, they don't play with Karen. She gets them together. So, but like I said, she definitely was being like, to me, a mother figure to Wendy in that moment. And she did say to Wendy in that moment, regardless, to act like this is when me and you liked each other, when you liked me, when they were closer. So take this advice from me. And my thing is, hey, Karen, she's already dealt with being incarcerated and everything like that, you know? So, I mean, I would take what she says and go ahead and listen. But you notice after Karen said that, Wendy did start just shutting down a lot of the other questions that Andy was asking her.
She did.
So she received what Karen was saying.
She did. And she did it low key, but it was like, oh yeah, you picking up on what she's saying. Karen definitely came through with it. I like the fact that Karen made the best statement to Stacey. She told Stacey, she said, don't let our back and forth change how you view me as a friend or whatever, because this is what we should be doing on the stage.
Absolutely.
That basically wraps up the third reunion on Real Housewives of Potomac. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell notification so you don't miss our next upload.
Absolutely. And remember, don't forget to tell a friend to tune in to the Shady B podcast.
Bye.